recording now. I appreciate that call out so we can get that uploaded. So 1 week ago today, Tropical Storm Idalia formed again. Those winds were 40 miles per hour. And on 9 a.m. on the 28th, we activated our Team Rubicon EOC. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in detail in just a moment. But really, what I want to point out is that as soon as the projections came in that we could have a major hurricane, and even before then, Team Rubicon was already monitoring and moving things to make sure that we had the most effective response possible. On the 29th, Idalia became classified as a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane pretty early in the day, and then became a Category 2 hurricane. And then on the 30th, right before landfall, in the overnight hours, Idalia did reach Category 4 status there for a brief period of time, and we got lucky because right before landfall, Idalia underwent a eye wall rejuvenation cycle. So it was downgraded to a Category 3. Not that that really makes a whole lot of difference when you're taking 125 mile per hour winds, my friends. So the landfall did occur near Keaton Beach, Florida on the 30th with winds of 125 miles per hour. We talked about the Team Rubicon EOC. I know we have some volunteer leaders on this call. We may have some staff on this call, and we may have some folks who are brand new gray shirts on this call. So I wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what we do during a hurricane. We adopted the Team Rubicon EOC, or Emergency Operations Center, hurricane timeline last year in 2022. We actually exercised that during the joint operations of Hurricane Fiona and Ian at the Talk last year in Chicago. And as with all things in Team Rubicon, after the fact, we took a chance and looked back and said, okay, these things went great and these things didn't go so great. And we made some changes and updates to that hurricane timeline. Now, what I will tell you is that typically we have a 6-day lead time for a projected Category 3 or above hurricane. However, we do have a condensed timeline because, as we know, hurricanes can spin up pretty quickly in the Gulf. Typically, that happens in late September into October, not in August. But because the team had made these updates and changes, we've exercised this. We've done this almost to the point where we can do it in our sleep. We were able to execute this condensed hurricane timeline, which took 6 days worth of activity and condensed it into 2. So like I said, we activated the EOC on Monday, and we were prepared with assets in place prior to landfall. Our current situation update in Florida, most particularly, and we're going to get to other states in just a minute, but I want to focus here on Florida. We do have 13 counties that are currently declared for individual assistance and public assistance. That's going to be your major, disaster declaration. We also are utilizing Crisis Cleanup, which is another NGO that, you guys have seen probably on social media where it says, hey, call this number and you can report your damage to your homes. The image there on the right is the over 2,300 cases that are currently in Crisis Cleanup. And what you will see is that goes north of the Florida border. It goes into southern and central Georgia as well. So we do expect that, this number, they populated about 700 additional cases today. We do expect that this number is going to continue to go up, most particularly over the next week. A lot of people, like 19 counties, have had evacuation orders in Florida. So like a lot of people, are still coming back to their homes and surveying their damage. So we do expect this number to go up in the coming days. So Team Rubicon, like I said, we've been busy. Every color that you see on this map is important. First, I want to start with the counties that are in gray. They kind of have that hatched looking area. Those are going to be counties that we have contacted that had no unmet needs. As you can see, there are going to be some little circles with the Team Rubicon emblem there. Those are locations that are at op ord, which means operations order. Those are places that we are currently operating. And where we're currently operating, we're going to get to in a minute with all of the big details. But what I want to point out most particularly is that we do still have teams that are in the recon and the advon phase. What does that mean? A recon team is a team that goes out and does a windshield assessment of damage in an area that has reported unmet needs. That recon team also makes contact with a lot of the local officials there. So from emergency management, fire chiefs, county and city mayors, or if you live where we live, they're judge executives. But those officials that can report unmet needs to us and say, hey, we need some help here. And so those recon teams are out gathering information for future response or recovery operations. Those ADVON teams that are out in the field, that stands for Advanced Echelon. Those are the folks that are going to go out in the beginning and get that fob set up. So if you guys have ever been to a Team Rubicon fob, then likely that is the result of the work that the ADVON team has done. So we do have numerous teams out there in the field right now, most particularly, like I said, ADVON C, which is conducting ADVON activities in Levy County and Marion County. And then Recon Team Echo, which is in Georgia, looking at and I'm going to screw this up, Loudon County, Ware County, and Cook County. And they're planning to conduct further recon in Appling County and Glenn County on the 4th. So that would be tomorrow. We could not be here without our agency representatives, and I definitely want to give them a shout out. Tanya Holloway, who is our North Florida Operations Associate, has been holding it down strong in Tallahassee since before the storm happened. She is currently embedded in the Florida State EOC. The NRCC, or FEMA headquarters, which actually closed down its operations on the 1st, was covered by North Branch Ops Associates and our Government Relations Division. And the Regional Coordination Center, which is FEMA Region 4, which is where this storm came ashore, is currently being covered by Adam Garner remotely. And Adam is our Georgia and Alabama Operations Associate. One of the things that you will see is that our operation name is Operation Not Forgotten. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of background as to why this operation is named Operation Not Forgotten. This storm, Idalia, did make landfall in a region that is known as the Forgotten Coast. It's not your beautiful white sandy beaches that Florida is often known for. A lot of the land there is marshy. So you have kind of a lower population there. It's not the big high rises and motels and hotels that everybody is used to. And something else that we are obviously seeing happen are the effects from Idalia have dropped out of the news cycle. A lot of people have already moved on from this storm, which is really surprising considering how big this storm was and how quickly it formed and the devastation that it caused. But what we wanted to do was to let the people of Florida and Georgia and South Carolina know that Team Rubicon has not forgotten about them. You guys have seen extensive recovery operations throughout the country, most particularly this year, where we've been going back to places for over a year. In Florida, we have been continuing to help recovery after Hurricane Ian as well for the almost year that it's been there. So we wanted these folks to know that we have not forgotten about them, even though the news cycle has. So y'all are saying, what in the heck is this map? Well, one of the things that I wanted to point out is that we choose our FOB areas very strategically. This is a map that our situation unit has put together, and two of our Florida operating bases, Taylor County and Suwannee County, have been noted on this map. And the colors are going to show you the drive times to these locations in these damaged areas that correspond with their locations due to the next FOB. And unfortunately, I did not get all of the map on here, but we have one that's south of Levy County as well. But just to show you the expansive area that Team Rubicon is planning on covering in this storm response. Now, all of this is fine and well and good, and we're doing all of the things, but I would be remiss if I did not point out that we are in the middle of a very active hurricane season in the Atlantic. Invest 98 or 95L, the one that you see with the red X with the big long pathway there. So that is, unfortunately, something that we are actively already watching to say, okay, what's the next move? You know, this has a greater than 60% formation in the next 7 days. Matter of fact, it's an 80% formation, but we're too far out to make any projections at this point. One thing that I did want to call out is that the team is monitoring all of the storms that are out there and any possibilities that we have to ensure that not only we keep our gray shirts safe, but also the communities that we're serving, and that we have our assets ready in case there needs to be a secondary response. All right. So you may say, well, she's talked about all of these great things and great places that we're doing it. Who's out there doing what? So I wanted to point out that we have had 2 route clearance teams that have been out there since the beginning. And when I say since the beginning, I'm talking about hours after landfall. These teams have been working and have turned out numbers that would absolutely astonish you. We have had, like I said, 2 route clearance teams. One is led by Bob McKay, and the other is led by Junior. If you guys know Junior, you know he's out there getting after it. If you've seen him on social media, he had his cowboy hat on out there. But they are currently in the process of demobilization and beginning their maintenance on heavy equipment. If you've been around a route clearance team, you know they don't waste any time. They get out there, they get their shit done, they get their equipment maintenance and back at the house, and they're ready to go again. I think Junior may be on the call, hopefully. He said he was going to try to dial in. Are you here, Junior?
Hey, Kate.
Hey, tell us about what you've been doing, man.
All right. So we started out like the day, as the storm was making landfall, and immediately went into Madison County. We were actually headed towards Perry, in Taylor County, but we actually had to start cutting the roads in Madison County to be able to make it down to Perry. It's definitely been a fun experience, but it's also been an enlightening one. My entire team has been eating MREs and Nutri-Grain bars and drinking warm water, and we haven't showered in since like Tuesday. But it's definitely been an impactful operation. We've really seen a lot of the areas. One of the things we noticed out here is you have these really populated city centers, but there are tons of these remote county roads. And that's one of the areas that we were focusing on in Madison County when we were opening up a lot of the county roads that have like 3 or 4 families that live along an 8-mile stretch of road. And they were still blocked in as we were cutting the roads open. So we were some of the first people that came back on those roads. There's a lot of tree damage. There's a lot of big tree damage for those of y'all that have been around water oaks before. They're massive. Their limbs are the size of large pine trees. So just we're trying to stay safe out here. We're starting to head back and reset all of our route clearance gear for that storm that you were just talking about, Kate, so that we're prepped and ready to roll again. It's definitely been a hot one. And the afternoon rain showers have made cutting in the rain even more fun when the humidity picks back up. All of us are looking forward to wearing dry clothes for the first time tomorrow. And it was awesome seeing all the gray shirts roll in to take over the long haul and get out there and help people. Route clearance is fun, but it's hard seeing people in their homes and you're not able to help them because we're there to open up the roads so that emergency crews can get around the communities. So get out there, sign up. There's a shit ton of work out there, and I look forward to seeing you all out on these waves.
Thanks, Junior. I couldn't get myself unmuted. Thank you for calling in. I know you guys are super busy. Give my love to the team. I know you guys have been out there kicking major ass, so that's been amazing to watch the teams getting stuff done, and really appreciate you calling in from the field. I know you guys are ready for a shower and dry clothes and a really hot meal and a good night's sleep. So we appreciate all that you do to really get out there and impact these homeowners. It's amazing. So those are our route clearance teams. We do have fobs that are up, and they are starting to accept gray shirts. We have Op Not Forgotten in Taylor County, which currently has 18 boots on the ground. They've been out doing site surveys, and their flight waves are going to be Monday to Monday flight waves. We also have Op Not Forgotten in Suwannee County. So if you guys are looking at the slide, I want to point out the correct pronunciation. That is Suwannee, like way down upon the Suwannee River, the song you may have heard if you are of a certain age, like myself. But that is the correct pronunciation for that county. And their incident commander there is Jarrett Brown, and they will have their flight waves running Wednesday to Wednesday, again, out of Tallahassee. I think Oscar Araco, our IC for Taylor County, is on the call. And Oscar, if you have the opportunity, can you come off mute and give us a rundown of what's going on there in Taylor County?
Thank you, Kate. Hey, I hope you can hear me. My name's Oscar, and I get to serve as the incident commander out here in Taylor County. It's a very nice place. We are very appreciative of Junior Bob and Kay and their great work as they set the stage for gray shirts to do even greater work out here. Basically, I'm going to try to show you the fob. The sun is setting. What we have, we are in Salem, just a little south of Perry in Great County of Taylor. We have a fob. We have a little dining area. We have a church fellowship hall, which is now our main fob. Inside, you might hear generators because inside you have lots of cots with fans and some lights, but that's about it. And so if you plan to come out here, I hope you enjoy austere conditions because that's what we got, because that's what the people have around here. And so you might see a box truck with good tools. You might see lots of good TR vehicles. And basically, we've been in the business of fourth generation. We've been in the business of building up our people. Tomorrow, as you heard, is a flight wave. So tomorrow, our number of people double. And so that's really great because we've got lots of work to do. We've got lots of equipment getting together. We have vehicles. We just need you. And so we appreciate you signing up for coming out here. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. If you plan to come out here later on, that's great. Or one of the other fobs, that's great. But you know what? There, you see all that storm. And somehow, believe it or not, if you don't get selected for this, there's another storm right behind. So, hey, I appreciate you. Before the sun goes all the way down, I'm going to turn it back over to Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Oscar, appreciate you giving us your time. I know you're super busy out there. Tell everybody we said hello, and I look forward to hugging your neck sometime when I get to the field. Oscar's one of my favorite battle buddies. Could not ask for a better incident commander, and we're really honored to have you out there. If you guys will give me just a second to get the slides pulled back up. I was trying to get that video a little bit bigger so that you could see it. Right. Just a second to get back to the correct slide. Well, that's not it. We don't want to look at that. All right. Something that I want to point out too that we are doing in Team Rubicon with this response is that we have 2 staging areas. We have one in Jacksonville, Florida that currently has 6 boots on the ground, and we have one in Punta Gorda, Florida. Our one in Jacksonville is run by John Wasser. He is our staging area manager there. And Jude Panetta, if you have deployed to South Florida for Hurricane Ian, you likely know Jude Panetta. He and the team are down there absolutely rocking it to support these fobs as we get them spun up. One thing I want to call out that is just amazing is that the reason we have the Punta Gorda, Florida staging area is because that has been the area of long-term recovery work after Hurricane Ian. And so when we started looking for a staging area, Jude and his amazing local volunteers have absolutely stepped up and said, hey, we want to be in the fight. We want to help. And they've been helping set up these fobs, getting them the materials that are already there on the ground, and making sure they have what they need that's good to go. And so just a really big shout out, not only to the North Florida folks, but especially to those South Florida folks who are still recovering from last year, but are in the fight for their fellow Floridians now. Something else I want to point out is that just because we have a hurricane operation does not mean that operations have stopped around the nation. Currently, there are 3 other field leadership team members that are deployed to support North and West Branch operations. So we have not stopped as an organization. And that's really important to note that we do still have response, recovery, and mitigation work that continue to be ongoing. Brand comms, a couple of things I wanted to bring to everybody's attention and point out is that you will have probably seen at this point, if you are on any kind of social media, some sort of brand content that has been shared from the field. We have had content producers and photographers in the field with both of our route clearance teams, with our recon teams, making sure that they're getting the story of the disaster survivors and of what our gray shirts are doing in the field out to the wider public. One of the things that we've noticed that happens, like I said, is that these disasters tend to fall out of the news cycle, which means not only does America forget about them, but they forget about the great work that you guys are doing. So this team has been essential on getting the truth out there, getting the content, regarding these disaster survivors out there. But one of the things that we want to point out is that if you are going to the field and you are not a content producer, please don't be a disaster tourist. These photos are awesome to have. But remember that we do have people's lives who are on display here. Be really, really cognizant about what you are taking pictures of. It's one thing to take pictures of you and your gray shirt buddies at the fob, or maybe doing some chainsaw maintenance or something like that. But it's another thing to, be sharing content that is just insensitive in nature. So we do ask if you take pictures. There is a Cinebody link that will be at all of the fobs so that you can drop your really cool pictures of the teams out there in the field doing things there for, for future content. But, we just want to make you aware of that. If you are on social media, we ask that you continue to share Team Rubicon's content. Please continue to share the great work that gray shirts are out there in the field doing so that these disaster survivors get all of the resources that they need. All right, you're saying all of that information is fantastic, but how do I actually get to the field? Well, for some of our friends, you know what to do because I've seen a whole lot of your faces before. But for those who are new here, we want you to get deployable. What does a deployable gray shirt look like? That's somebody who has completed their background check and they have completed their Team Rubicon 101. We want to make sure that everybody is safe and everybody is ready to go. So we ask that you do that prior to deploying. If you're like, okay, I've already done that, but I've never deployed before, or maybe I went to a feeding operation or a COVID-19 operation, or maybe resettlement, and I don't know what it's like to be in the field or what Oscar was talking about with those austere conditions. I'm not sure what all of that is about. What I want to encourage you to do is check out one of the field readiness briefs that are coming up. The first one that's coming up, I just dropped the link in the chat. That is going to be on the 6th, which is Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I just dropped the link, like I said, to register for that call. It is going to be super informative. Not only is it going to talk to you about how to get deployable, but it's going to talk to you about what to expect, what to pack, how do you know where you're going to be getting to go, or how do you know when your flight's going to be arranged, or what do you do when you demobilize, what to expect on a work day. They're going to talk about all of that, but they're also going to give you the most up-to-date links on virtual training that's coming up so that you can get prepared before you go to the field. It's always great to go to the field as a general responder, but if you've never had the opportunity to do a site survey before and actually get to speak to the homeowners, I'll tell you, it's something that'll change your life. So if you have the opportunity to go through that training beforehand, we're going to be giving you all of that up-to-date information at that time. So again, check out that hurricane field readiness brief on the 6th at 8 p.m. and they have plenty of spots available still for that training. And you may say, well, you know what? That's great. I'm cool. I've been on a ton of deployments. I know what to do, but I have no idea how to sign up for this thing. Well, guess what? In the chat, I just dropped the link to sign up to deploy from anywhere. So that is what we call a splash page. This is going to be a link that you can click on. It's going to bring up your, and actually I'll show it to you right now. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can show you, hopefully you guys can see my screen. But this is going to bring up a splash page, which allows you to sign up for any of the 3 fobs that we have that are stood up right now. This information will change and expand if we add additional fobs. So what I would encourage you to do is check back frequently. Again, on this page, our mobilization team has done an amazing job to put all of the information in one place, but you can look at what the response dates are. So 4 September to 4 October for Levy County, it's going to talk about Tuesday to Tuesday flight waves. Again, we covered some of the other flight waves. I think we have Monday, or these are Wednesday to Wednesday for Sewanee County, and for Taylor County, it's Monday to Monday. Again, you have opportunities to be really flexible in your scheduling and understanding where you want to go and who you might want to be with, who of your friends are going out to the field and all of that stuff. So really wanted to give you guys the opportunity to see that splash page as well. I did have one more slide, however,
Can
at
I
this
ask you a
point,
quick question?
Sure, what's up?
Hey, Kate, if we have a little bit of flexibility in our date, a week window, like there's 3 different ops going, is it okay to sign up for those 3 and let you guys pick which one you need us at the most? That's
So
what I did. I don't, or does that confuse the situation?
no, it doesn't confuse the situation. We do have a lot of our mobilization team. They are looking at that stuff, and what they're going to be looking at is a whole bunch of different factors. So it's not just, oh, he registered 3 times. It might be, hey, this is when the flight wave comes in. This is when we need more people. It could be distance from the location, all of those things. But if you sign up for all 3, they will definitely pick the best fit for you, meaning when is that, when is that time that they need additional gray shirts in that space, and what's the location that you're most needed at for your skill set as well. For some skill sets, it's going to be, we might need more sawyers in one place and we might need more muckouts in another place. So again, they're going to look at those skill sets to determine, where people go. So yeah, if you have some flexibility, you can sign up for all 3, go right ahead. We definitely have no problem with that. I am going to get to some more questions in just a minute, but I wanted to give an opportunity. We have Drew Hanna on the call. Drew is the Deputy Director of South Branch and has been really, really critical behind the scenes, making all of these things happen and working with the teams to get all of this stuff to happen. So I wanted to give Drew an opportunity to give the team an update and to say, hey.
Hey. That's it. That's all I have to say. No, first, guys, just huge thanks to everyone who hopped onto this call. Also, big thanks to some of the folks on my team, to Kate and Elizabeth for pulling this together, to Oscar and Junior from taking the time to call in from out in the field. I know everybody is churning super hard right now, trying to make sure that we're getting all the people and the things in the places we need them the most to make the most impact, but also super aware how critical it is to keep you guys, the greater Gray Shirt Nation, informed of where and when and how we're moving, so that you guys can make the decisions that you need to make in your lives to see how you can best plug into it. And I take from the fact that you hopped onto this call on a Sunday night, that you see a whole bunch of people out there in need and are trying to figure out the best way that you can to get out there and help them. So just thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being interested in getting out there and helping folks. You're definitely needed, wanted, and incredibly appreciated for raising your hands to go out there. We're just now really about a week out from realizing how serious this was going to be. Everybody had been watching this one spin up in the Gulf for a couple of days, and the forecast just kept getting worse and kept getting worse. And it was, I think, when we were at Sunday night heading to bed last week, we knew it was going to be a Cat 2-ish that had cranked up from a Cat 1 Sunday morning. That was a bad trend, and so we were already kind of talking about what we need to do, and then everybody woke up Monday morning to the official forecasting that we were in fact going to have at least a Cat 3, potentially a Cat 4 make landfall somewhere along the Florida coast. And sure enough, that's right where we ended up Wednesday morning. So it was a massive effort from a lot of folks to get all of the people and resources in place to do all of the coordination that Kate was laying out for everyone. She kind of she talked through it. It sounds like it's a very simple thing, and we're just like, we have our 4-day plan, we have our 3-day plan. But I'll tell you from experience, I've done this a couple of times with Team Rubicon now, and there's a ton of coordination and lift that goes into getting that equipment and those people out there. But all of it depends on, everyone on this call. It depends on the willingness of our gray shirt bodies to raise their hands and jump into the fight to see what they can do to help somebody on their worst day. We touched on it a bit in talking about the name of this response, Not Forgotten. But, the blessing and the curse of the path of the hurricane that Kate was laying out to y'all, kind of weaves right between Tallahassee and Jacksonville there and Gainesville. Doesn't really hit a huge population center. We were all kind of worried there for a while. It might go right into Tampa Bay and cause a real big mess. So, you know, the blessing of it not hitting a major population center is that, you know, a lot of people avoided having a really bad day on Wednesday. But the curse of it is there's still tens of thousands of people whose lives have been significantly affected, if not forever changed, by the results of this storm. And the fact that we didn't hit a major population center means, you know, a lot of the country is moving on. A lot of resources that those folks need won't necessarily materialize. And, you know, it's exactly that kind of concern that organizations like ours are particularly attuned to and concerned about. We call them low attention disasters. And it's our mandate, our commitment that, you know, everybody matters. And we're not gonna move on until we've done all that we can do. So everyone here on this call is part of that commitment, and I'm just hugely appreciative that you're all paying attention. You're all caring about those folks down there in Florida and Georgia and everywhere else who've trying to put their lives back together after last week. And I assure you that we will be doing everything we can to get you guys out there when you're available to go. Now, I will say I did see some questions in the chat, you know, and it's a lot of the normal questions we see. You know, folks wondering, hey, I signed up. Do I know when I'm going to go? Are we going to get that messaging out? I'll tell you, the team's working through that as fast as they can. As you can imagine, there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of interest in that kind of information right now, and it'll take us a couple of days to kind of get ahead of the information curve on that one. But we're doing what we can, especially through venues like this one, the battle briefs, to get as much information to you guys as we can, so that you're as best prepared as you can be to make the decisions in your life, so that you're able to get out there and help. So huge thanks from everyone on this call for being out here. We will do our best to either answer your questions tonight or at least get you pointed in the right direction so you can get your questions answered. And just as always, Glacier Nation just continues to inspire me. You know, this is a tough thing that we're asking folks to do. Oscar spoke to the truth of the situation on the ground. You know, we're hoping to have showers up by Wednesday. Power, who knows? All, you know, maybe eating MREs, maybe some hot barbecue from Barbecue Relief if we can swing it. But all told, right? All we can guarantee is we're going to give you a lot of sweat and hard work. And you guys are champing at the bit to get out there. So thank you for that. We're so appreciative of your time and your energy. Please, please, please continue to sign up and raise your hands, and we'll get you out there as quick as we can. That's it from me, but open to any questions.
Yeah, we do see some questions in the chat, you know, regarding mobilization. I tell everybody, you know, definitely be patient with those folks. Like Drew said, they are, you know, trying to make the right decisions and mobilize a whole lot of people right now. So, you know, if you signed up next week for a flight wave, again, give them, you know, midweek, maybe a little bit past that. Elizabeth did drop in the chat the mobilization email address. So that folks can, you know, can reach out to mobilization directly as well. But I will tell you that the more time that they spend answering individual emails, the less time they're mobilizing people. So give them a little bit of grace on that, because they are turning and burning out there for sure. People did talk about, I did see a message about austere conditions as well. You know, we do expect conditions to improve. Okay. So one of the things that I want to tell everybody is that when we first started responding to Hurricane Ian last year, you know, the conditions were austere there as well. You know, the power and the water were gone, and sewer and air conditioning, and it's still hot in Florida. If you're not aware, it's still hot in Tennessee where I'm at. And you got mosquitoes and you've got all the things, right? So if you're like, you know, I want to get out and help, but that no power thing is not for me, give them a couple weeks, folks, right? We definitely are going to need all the gray shirts we can get. So, you know, definitely say, hey, you know what, I need to give them a couple weeks to kind of get some things stabilized. And then, you know, I definitely want to go out and get some shit done. I know, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm kind of scanning. Elizabeth's been on it in the chat. You guys, if you've never met Elizabeth, I'm very grateful for her right now because she has all of the answers to all of the questions. Oh, Jim, great question. So there was a question in the chat regarding training. And are we going to be doing training kind of like we did for Hurricane Ian? What I would say to you, Jim, on that is this. If we have the opportunity likely to do that, it's going to take some time to get that set up. If we're going to have the opportunity to do that. Drew's got his hand up, so I'll let him give a better answer than what I just gave you.
Well, it's not a perfect one or that much more what you were saying, Kate, but just to throw out there for the wider group's awareness, one of the things we've been working through, one of the lessons learned from Ian last year is a concerted effort to get tarping instructors on the ground for the first week or two. That was a lot of feedback points, was concerns from folks about making sure we were properly equipping. We have a lot of new folks who sign up and come out the first couple of weeks. So before we're setting folks up on roofs, getting them trained, the larger, we call it a Gray Skies disaster training camp, which is essentially teaching folks basic skills, Sawyer, core operations, roof tarping, site survey, on the ground, and then immediately putting them into the field with the skill sets that they've just developed. Also, we will occasionally do task books and I guess one sign-offs as well out there, just sort of depending on skill level and timing. We are in discussions about when to open that, but the balance of that is, when folks are training, we're burning their deployment time where they're not necessarily working on a house. So it's, we're trying to find that sweet spot of ensuring that we have the skill sets we need on the ground to accomplish the mission. Folks are being gainfully employed out there, and also just that folks are able to work safely in the field. So it's kind of finding that middle ground. So typically, like the first couple of weeks, we have a lot of high skill deployers, folks with the right certifications on the ground. They tend to burn through their availability, and then we're in a position where some of the folks who are signing up are, maybe haven't had a chance to get the classes or experience. So like it's typically, like Kate was saying, like that second, third week, that we would look to start opening that up, and it's based on the skill sets that are signed up to deploy and the needs in the field. That X factor also being, of course, the other things going on around the country. Like if we do have 95 Lima causing us a big headache next week, but we'll burn that bridge when we get there. So maybe stand by. That will be announced in dispatch instructions if and when it gets out there, and give folks a chance to sign up to get out there.
I know Gray Skies training is always something that, folks are interested in, and appreciate that call out for that. We try not to cancel classes, folks. We try to keep everything going as it normally would. But sometimes these things happen, right? And I always say, like, if you can train in a disaster, it's always a good thing, because disaster trees are definitely different than your regular trees for Sawyers out there. So I know Elizabeth's been talking about some of the online courses that are available. There are pre-courses out there for site survey. Definitely, if you guys have the ability to do that one, or if you are site survey qualified, or if you are core ops qualified and you have been since, I don't know, the dinosaurs roamed the earth, then I would encourage you to go back through the pre-course. And let me tell you why. I've done site surveys I've been around the organization. My first deployment was in 2015. So I've been doing site surveys for a hot minute. And before Hurricane Ian, I went back and redid the pre-course there for site survey, and learned a whole lot. We develop bad habits sometimes out there when we're doing things. So I would encourage you to go back and refresh yourself on the content. Even with TR 101, go back and refresh yourself on the content. Definitely always good to get that knowledge fresh in your head, and to understand that you're going to be talking to homeowners on their worst day. So definitely encourage you guys to do that. Again, I'm going to post one more time the links for the Field Readiness Hurricane Brief. That is going to be an amazing session. I know some of those folks are on this call tonight, ready to answer questions as well, and to get out there and give you guys the great information. Just a couple of the things that they're going to cover. They're going to talk about Team Rubicon culture and what it means, how it relates to our mission, as well as what to actually pack in your go bag. Don't be like me. And the first time I got on an airplane to go to an operation, I packed 90 pounds worth of gear. And all of my Team Rubicon buddies like to make fun of me for that. But I didn't know what all to pack, so I overpacked everything. But they're going to talk to you about what to pack in your go bag and what to leave at home. Tips and tricks when being out on a strike team. Questions on how to get dispatched and the proper steps to take once you do get dispatched. I will tell you, it's not as easy as just hitting that sign up button. Make sure you're checking your email for those reconfirmations and then reconfirm as soon as you can. So they're going to talk about all of that stuff. They're going to help you get prepared for this deployment, whether it's your first or your 15th. They're going to help you get prepared also for training or additional projects within Team Rubicon. So you may say like, hey, I'm brand new to the organization. I don't have any availability necessarily to go on this operation, but I want to go to an operation sometime in the future. Again, check out that briefing. It's going to pertain, yes, to this hurricane, but really to all operations, and will help you get very familiar with that. All right. Got folks talking about being out on a site survey team without having to without taking the class. You just sign up online again. If you go in there, you can just sign up for the class again and take the prereqs all over. That's the nice thing about our courses, is it just updates. Like to see lots of swampers out there too. Yay. All right. Anybody else got any questions? I don't want to keep folks super late because I know it's getting late in the Eastern time zones. Ooh, lots of questions.
Yeah, Katie?
Yeah.
Quick
Okay,
question.
I got Travis first.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you. If we have 2 weeks available, can we do a back-to-back, or does it have to be a single week? So, because if I'm coming from Salem, Oregon, I guess want to make it worth it.
Right. No, totally understand and appreciate your mom's a donor on that one. Completely appreciate that. What I would tell you is that I would communicate directly with mobilization on your desire to do that. For our command and general staff gray shirts, typically we do ask for that 14 days of availability, 10 to 14 days, corresponding with flight waves. But if you're a general responder, depending on, again, those case-by-case basis, for distance, for specialized skill sets, different things like that, that would need to go through mobilization and field leadership, just to make sure that we're communicating with the right people and get you the best answer possible. So mobilization at teamrubiconusa.org or serve at teamrubiconusa.org. That's our mobilization folks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Elizabeth did point out in the chat, and I appreciate doing this because I should have called this out as well. If you are a driver within 450 miles of one of these FOB locations, you do not have to have a full week of availability. Okay. Those flight waves, those are for flight waves only. So these are for folks that Team Rubicon is going to get you an airline ticket and get you down there. So if you're a driver, and let's say you're at 250 miles and you have 3 days, guess what? Sign up for your 3 days. We want you to be out there. So even if you don't, you may have Sunday to Wednesday availability, or, Saturday to Tuesday, or maybe even Saturday to Saturday, and flight waves are not till Monday. That's okay if you're a driver. Any word from Recon in Georgia and the Carolinas? Our Recon teams are out in Georgia. I know Annette, our operations associate in the Carolinas, is speaking with them on a daily basis about unmet needs in different communities as well. What I would tell everybody on this call, if you are a Georgia or Carolinas gray shirt, and you're like, hey, we've been overlooked here. Word of caution on that. You haven't been overlooked. We haven't forgotten about you either. Just be patient is what I would say about that. We've started kind of where landfall happened, and we've started reconning up the coast. So just as the storm took kind of its time getting up the coast, we're going to have to kind of take our time with recon. But I will tell you this, your operations associates have absolutely been killing it. They have been in contact with state and local resources multiple times a day. They've been speaking to FEMA multiple times a day. So we are watching that. We have not left out Georgia or the Carolinas on this one as well. So we do have those recon teams that are out in Georgia right now. Yeah. All right. If you have other questions, you can drop them in the chat or you can raise your hand. I know we have about 10 minutes left on the call, so I want to make sure that, everybody has the chance to, even if you have just a random general TR question, we can probably answer that too, although I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, but because Oscar knows, like I can talk down the rabbit holes. Travel trailers. Whoo, that's a great question. Again, that's going to be one of those questions directly to mobilization, because most of the time they are not authorized at the FOBs. Yeah, that's going to be the best way to communicate with mobilization. I know that there have been some occasions where travel trailers have been able to be utilized. However, we're trying to get away from that as an organization. Again, that goes back to culture. It goes back to a lot of different things like that. But again, communicating with mobilization directly about that is the best way to go. So again, mobilization at teamrubiconusa.org or serve at teamrubiconusa.org. Y'all can ask questions so you don't have to listen to me talk, I promise. Randy, I have not heard if HE training has been canceled. What I would say is I would go direct with Patrick Wright or with the HESI that is working for your training. I have not heard that.
Roger, I sent Patrick an email. He's out of office right now, super busy. I didn't want to keep because he has his own thing going on, and I was trying to keep it. I was trying to keep it local.
Right. No, totally understand that. And I will check on that for you because, well, I'm your ops associate.
Kate,
I'll check on
Patrick is
that.
out of the office for at least another couple weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I signed up. Well, I signed up for the 18th, which is the day after I should get back from my the weekend training, but I don't know if it's going to be a weekend training. That was a decision thing for me to what flight wave I wanted to sign up for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally understand that. And like I said, I will check on that for you and get an answer back. And again, with anybody that's got training, upcoming in the next 2 weeks. And I would say this for chainsaw training, for any of your localized trainings that are happening, there is nothing wrong with logging on to your roll call, finding out who your event point of contact is and shooting them a quick email and just saying, hey guys, I know that Hurricane Idalia response is happening right now. Has our class been affected? Do not assume that all classes have been canceled, not even in the South Branch. We do have other things that are going on in the South Branch as well. Make sure and reach out to those event POCs for sure. We want you to have the opportunity to get training so that you can get to the field with those additional skills. But sometimes we have to cancel training. We just hope we don't have to. Ooh, Oscar's talking MREs. Woo! How do you find the event POC? Oh, that's a great question. Hold on a second, and I can show you. Let me pull up my roll call. I will go through the. Let's see. Give me just 1 second. Greg, I'll get to you in just 1 second. I'm going to pull up. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right. So
Yep, we got it, Kate.
Awesome. So this is your event calendar. What we're going to do is we are going to filter this to the South Branch. And we're going to look for, I'm going to use my geo just to, in case I screw it up, right? So we've got a chainsaw proficiency coming up, right? And in East Tennessee. So when you log on to your roll call and you're going to sign up for an event, or if you go back into the event to change your availability, you're going to have an event lead here. You can click on that, and that's going to give that person's email in the bottom left-hand corner where it says email to alex.groff, or you can click on it and it will bring up an email box for you to send that person an email. You can reach out to that leader. You can also reach out to your operations associate, who will be able to answer that question as well. Again, we want you guys to have the most up-to-date information, but that's how you just go back and see event and roll call, and that event lead's name should be highlighted there in red. All right, and I know Greg had a question or had a hand up.
Just fat fingered, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I know that there's some questions in the chat regarding medical response. So at this time, we're not doing any kind of domestic medical response there. What I would tell you is that, I'm a nurse. I'm a licensed nurse in 36 states. I always bring a little bit of a kit just in case, just a little first aid kit kind of thing. TR is going to supply all of the equipment that you need to be in the field. So again, you don't, because you're not deploying in a medical capacity, there is no need to bring medical equipment. But if you want to just, I always bring like blister Band-Aids and, stuff to clean out, mainly blisters and take out splinters. That's what I come prepared for. And some Band-Aids. Yeah, Jury, great answer on that one as well. And safety officer will go over all of that. All right, well, guys, I'm going to stay on the line for 7 more minutes and hang out with whoever wants to hang out. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. Oscar, sir, thank you for all you continue to do in the field. I hope I get to see you soon. But give our love to the teams. Get out there and get shit done, my friend. All of my other friends on the call, like I said, I'm going to continue to hang on. You can come back. You can ask any questions that you want to, but you guys are free to go. Get those go bags packed. Get that background check done. Get that TR 101 done. Get signed up for this operation and get out there and kick some butt. Would love to see all of you guys in the field. For the returning faces that I've seen before, it's great to see you. And for the new faces that join this call, welcome to the family. Let's get out there and get some shit done, guys. Jenny, you've got a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I am in the North Carolina. And it seems I'm on the coast and everything that happens is way on the other side of the state. If I go to training on the other side of the state, is there a place for me to stay?
That is going to be dependent on the training. So some trainings do offer billeting and some trainings don't. But let me give you a point of contact. If you'll give me just 1 second, I will drop it into the chat. Well, if I can type, give me a second here. And so Miss Annette is going to be your operations associate. Annette is going to be able to answer all of those specific questions for you, Jenny. And I have just dropped her email into the chat. Okay. She is the operations associate for North Carolina and South Carolina, and she is going to be an amazing. Any other questions out there? Rose, go ahead.
No, I was gonna hop on with Jenny real quick and say that about any of our training that's going on, if it's like 2 days or 3 days, we're gonna have billeting for that. Just keep an eye out because we have a lot of stuff in the works right now.
Okay.
So, and hopefully you'll be seeing some more stuff actually on the coastal area as well. We're building up our leadership team. We've got a lot of, I want to say about 5 new leaders coming in. That's really ready to go and get stuff going out there. So you're going to be seeing a lot more stuff come up.
Yeah, I've been on a lot of operations, but I've never seen anybody from Eastern North Carolina but me. So that'll be good. Thank you.
You're going to start seeing a lot more of us, so don't worry about that.
All right.
Rose is one of those amazing Carolinas volunteers. So thank you, Rose, for chiming in on that. And way to build a team, man. We are always looking for more folks willing to step into leadership and be those local points of contact. So if that's something that you're interested in, you guys can always hit me up in the email and I'll get you to the right person for sure. I would love to see an online roof tarping video training as well. It's what I will tell you about roof tarping is that we have a lot of stuff in the works. A lot of stuff in the works, folks. Definitely, it is an exciting time to be in Team Rubicon, for sure. For sure.
I've been here for over 11 years. It's always an exciting time to be in Team Rubicon.
There's no doubt, Rich. There's no doubt.